Hello and welcome to today's topic. We are going to be talking about the potential dangers of fixating on clean eating. I call this toxic clean eating culture. And I'm going to talk to you about my own journey through kind of being more rigid with food, being more focused on clean eating, to where I am now, which is a much more flexible, fluid, free mindset around food. And what are some of the things that you can do to actually start that journey for yourself? So the title of today's topic is, are you ready to ditch toxic clean eating culture and lose weight enjoying foods? One of the things that I've discovered after being a coach for 5 years, I've been a nutrition coach for 5 years and a nurse for 6 years. So I've been in the health and coaching industry for almost 12 years now. What I've discovered is that things that are rigid, things that are restrictive just aren't sustainable. And for a lot of you, this won't be anything earth-shatteringly new, right? You kind of know this. We see a lot of this in a lot of the current content that's out there around health and wellness. We know that things that are restrictive don't work long term. But one of the challenges is women still want to lose weight. Women come to me and they still want to lose weight. They still have that as a goal. And so how do we balance this desire that we have to shed some pounds, lose some fat, look more toned, or feel better in our skin, with knowing that restriction doesn't work? And that's something that I've been really exploring, working with clients over the past 5 years. I've tried different things with clients. I've tried where we are more strict, right? Like I used to teach quitting sugar. Now I just talk about, reducing sugar or paying attention to how sugar makes you feel. I used to be very focused on get at least 2 vegetables a day, 2 green veggies a day. And now I'm more flexible and fluid with my clients as a coach. And the reason that I've made these changes in my own coaching is just because on the court with clients, I see what works and doesn't work. I also see what works and doesn't work because of my own experience with my body. When I first started on my journey to shed weight in my 30s, I started with a program that was really fixated on clean eating. They also had a lot of rules, like no dairy after noon, no carbs after 3, your dinners had to be lean, clean, and green. And while this program definitely taught me to fuel my body with more whole, real foods, what it also did was start to create this clean eater mindset in my head, a careful clean eater. And I got that phrase from the authors of Intuitive Eating. And I really like that phrase, careful clean eater, because that really personifies who I was trying to be. Trying to always eat the cleanest way. What does clean even mean? We have to question a lot of these words that are thrown around in the health and nutrition industry because a lot of them don't make sense. Like when people say food is medicine, that makes no sense. I want anesthesia during surgery. I don't want an acai bowl with coconut clusters, right? So we have to really pay attention to what these words mean. And, careful clean eater helped me really start to discern that, I'm being overly rigid with my eating. Clean eating also led to muscle loss for me. This is one of the things that a lot of people don't talk about in a weight loss journey, is how much muscle that you can lose. The first year that I lost 10 pounds doing CrossFit, I also lost 3 pounds of muscle. That's a lot of lean muscle tissue to lose, especially while you're lifting weights. And it was all because of my nutrition. There is a way to lose weight and retain muscle mass. It has to do with your diet, how you're ingesting food, and if you're doing resistance training. So, my experience with clean eating, that I lost muscle, that I would have hunger. I would wake up in the middle of the night and have hunger, even though I felt like I was eating a lot. I would have intolerance to cold because I'd gotten too thin. I was sometimes having overeating or binge eating episodes because I was too fixated on just eating clean foods when my body needed more fuel. And sometimes we need like a bagel. Sometimes we need the sugar. Sometimes we need cheese. Like we need a variety of foods. And when we eliminate foods from our diet and we forbid foods from our diet, not only does it create cravings and overeating episodes, but it also creates like physical manifestations. It creates issues like anxiety, insomnia, hunger, muscle wasting, hair loss, etc. I've never had hair loss, but I have had irregularities with my period. And I've noticed that as I eat more, my period gets like more and more normal. It's really cool to see. Okay, so if you get too fixated on eating clean and labeling foods as good or bad in your diet, it can lead to hunger, muscle loss, fatigue, binge episodes, food perfectionism, or obsession with food. And I know because I've experienced all of those things. For me as a coach, I'm always kind of like testing things out on myself and being like, that didn't work. Not going to teach my clients that. Or like, hey, this did work. Let's try this out. Okay. So here's really the mindset change that I want you to take away from this topic today and hopefully start to implement in your life. It's going from restrictive, rigid mindset to flexible, fluid mindset. Somebody put that in the comments for me. Okay. It's going from restrictive, rigid mindset to flexible, fluid mindset. So many of us get fixated in rigid thinking. And look, black and white thinking is not always a bad thing. Sometimes black and white thinking saves you from something, right? There's a car coming at you. It's good to have black and white thinking like that car's going to kill me. Not being like, well, I'm not sure. Let me be flexible and try it out. But when it comes to food, rigid rules do not work. I've even learned this as a coach. I used to be much more like rigid with the targets that I would want my clients to hit with macros. And I started to learn that what was happening for my clients is they would have an experience of failure if they didn't hit their macro targets exactly within the range I'd given them. So if I wanted them to hit their macros within like 10 grams up or down and they didn't hit that, they would experience, I didn't hit my macros today. I failed. And I started to be like, why do they think this? And I was like, oh, because I'm just giving them like you did it or you didn't do it. So I've actually changed some things in my coaching program now where I incorporate what I call an Olympic model, where there's a gold target for your day, a silver, a bronze, and a fourth place. Heck, if you got fourth place at the Olympics, you're doing pretty damn good. Am I right? Okay. So we need to change the way that we think about things. I'm either doing it perfectly or I'm not doing it. No, I want you to start to think like an Olympian. You're either hitting gold, silver, bronze, fourth place, fifth place, and all of those can get you closer to your goal. You know, some of the lessons I've learned over the past 5 years of being a coach include what actually causes fat loss, right? And it's not eliminating foods from your diet that you enjoy. It's not getting rid of everything. It's learning how to eat the right quantity of food for your body, your goals, and your movement. It's learning the right ratio of quality to play food in your diet to see the results you want with fat loss. It's also learning how to move your body correctly. It's learning more about your insulin sensitivity, and it's learning about your mindset. It's also about reducing alcohol and or learning how to account for it correctly. And my clients learn those 6 pillars in my program, and then they have a lot more empowerment moving forward on their own. They're like, oh, I know what it takes to actually cause fat loss. I also learned that it's really important that you enjoy food. Okay, I've over the years sometimes gotten so restrictive with the types of food that I would eat or allow myself that I started to really miss food. Maybe you have that experience where you're like, I miss food, or you feel that you both miss food, but yet you also feel like you overeat and binge foods too much, right? Have you had those two experiences, which seem like counter to each other, but they're actually connected, and they're both born out of deprivation, right? Deprivation, restriction. And that comes from us having body dissatisfaction. The only reason that we set out to lose weight or lose fat is because we have some kind of dissatisfaction with our body. And I'm not saying that it's bad to desire to change your body. We just need to pay attention to that, because if we become too fixated on body dissatisfaction, then what that can do is start to cause us to get more and more restrictive with our food. It's really important that you learn how to incorporate the foods that you like, even if it means your fat loss is slower. So my last round of clients, all of my clients lost significant inches off their waist. And this is with even some of them not hitting gold every day on their goals. A lot of bronze, some fourth place days, right? So the people who lost less inches on their waist maybe had more bronze and fourth place days, and people who lost got more gold and silver results maybe had more gold and silver days, but not necessarily. Everybody's body just responds to things a little differently. But they all saw results because they all implemented the strategies that work. But they all allowed all foods. There weren't forbidden foods, and they really started to focus on enjoying foods again. I would even look for variety in their diaries. So if I saw a bagel, I'd be like, yay, good job, variety. Or if I saw dessert, I was like, good job, you got dessert and a salty, crunchy thing. And so I think what makes a balanced diet is having protein, carbs, fats, and having different sources of those in your diet. It also includes having sweet treats if you like sweet things. It includes having salty, crunchy snacks if you like those things. It involves having cheese or creamy things if you enjoy those again. So my program is very focused on not forbidding foods, allowing all foods, and then teaching you what's that correct ratio for your body goals, what you desire. You get to determine that, of quality to play foods based on your insulin sensitivity and your activity. Some of the other things that I really started to gain from this process of allowing all foods was enjoying food again, also having freedom and peace with food. When we don't restrict or forbid foods, we stop overeating them, we stop binging them. We need to allow those foods in order to move towards more food freedom. And it also helps increase our overall confidence when we can trust our body. When we can say, you know what, I actually trust my taste preferences. I actually prefer to eat white bread than whole wheat bread. Okay, if that's your authentic taste preference, there's a way to make that work. All right. And accepting that if fat loss is your goal, sometimes fat loss will be a little bit slower if you have higher glycemic load carbs in your diet, or you do have more sugar, or you have more play foods, but that sustainability is really important long-term for you. And I think so many women seek that sustainability. So I hope this just kind of helped you understand how clean eating can actually be really detrimental to you. It can be detrimental to you physically. It can be detrimental to you mentally. It also doesn't really make any sense to say clean eating. We don't even know what that means. It's an undefined term because it makes no sense. Are you saying your food has dirt on it or pesticides? What makes it dirty that you now need to clean it? Clean eating. All right. So we want to get away from being fixated on good or bad foods, labeling foods as clean, not clean. And we want to focus on incorporating all foods and learning about, okay, what's the correct amount of food, the correct ratio of quality to play foods? What's my unique insulin sensitivity? How do I account for alcohol? How do I shift my movement? How do I shift my mindset so that I can accomplish some of those changes I want to see with my body and my stamina and my energy and my vitality, in addition to not forbidding foods? Another thing I just want to leave you with today is another way to assess progress besides the scale. So women come into my program, they want to lose weight, they want to lose inches. Totally get that, totally respect that goal. That's what I'm promising in my program, is that you will lose fat, which you will if you follow the strategy. But we also want to make sure we're assessing progress with photos and inches lost. I have a client who just lost 7 pounds, which doesn't sound like a dramatic weight loss, but she lost 5 inches off her waist. 5 inches. That's like this long, okay? If you're listening to this, I'm putting my fingers apart. But that is quite a lot of inches. And she also noticed a dramatic change in her photos. And so that's why I don't like to get overly fixated on the scale as we're trying to lose fat. I really like to focus on photos, waist measurement, and then I really like to focus on what I call MEDS. All right. And it's an acronym I created that stands for mood, energy, digestion, sleep, and sex drive. S stands for sleep and sexy time. Okay. And when you use MEDS to assess your progress, you will start to feel much more empowered than being fixated on the scale, right? How's your mood? How's your energy? How's your digestion? A lot of women just want to feel better in their gut. Okay, how's my digestion? How do different foods make my gut feel? And then how's my sleep, right? If you're under eating, you can have really bad insomnia or wake up in the middle of the night. If you're overeating, you might feel like sluggish or have like digestive issues going to bed. And then sex drive. So that really points to your hormones. So just file that away. MEDS, you can use that to assess your progress, but try not to get overly fixated on the scale. Focus more on your waist measurement if you're trying to lose fat, your photos, and MEDS. And yeah, I look forward to hearing from you about what was most impactful from you about this topic today, what resonated for you. Shoot me a message on the gram at Heather McConaughey, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for joining and listening today.